Hello and welcome to the Minefield podcast from Anfield Index Pro. As always, I'm your host, Alan O'Donoghue, and the doctor is in the house. Dr. Andrew Vincent. Andrew, how are you keeping?
Good. It's been quite some time, so we have lots to talk about.
It has been quite some time. I think the last time we'd planned a podcast, Andrew, it was on the back of those bunch of draws or that bit of a wobble that we had, and we couldn't end up recording when we had hoped. And
That's right.
we didn't. And look what happened.
We're a sunny day podcast, so if things get a little rocky, we might just disappear for a while. We're not like post-match Raw; they're in it thick or thin. We're only here for the good times.
Yeah. So if you're listening to us, if you see us pop up, it's a good time. There you go.
That's right.
And we're recording the day after Liverpool 2, Newcastle United 0, to put us 13 points clear at the top of the table.
Yes, indeed.
And today we're going to talk about a couple of little things, but we're going to talk about winning the league, potentially. We're going to talk about the psychological impact of Arsenal losing on them and us beating City on them and us. Because I think there is interesting intricacies in that hopefully the listeners will find of some benefit. So I suppose if we were to look at what I found interesting about listening to Arne Slot and his interviews, he continues to be very self-assured, and he continues to talk like somebody who is a winner, right? So let me preface this. Jurgen was a winner, but Jurgen would regularly talk like an underdog. Mm-hmm. And that was his thing. It's us against them. It's us against the world. We have to fight. Whereas for me, Arne comes across as someone who's like, well, why wouldn't we be top of the league? Why wouldn't we be winning the league? Like, that's what we do. And it's taken me a bit of time to get used to that. But do you think that has an impact on the mentality of the squad and the players within the squad? Does that influence them?
Can I ask you something, Al?
You can.
About just culturally, like Ireland, Scotland, England? Are you like not supposed to say like, "Hey, I think I'm really good at this and I want to win the league"? Is that like a thing?
It's definitely a thing in Ireland. So we don't talk ourselves up at all. Like if you were to go and say, "I'm really good at my job," people would look at you and go, "Oi, shut the fuck up, you. Don't you be getting ahead. Don't be getting above your station." That's the phrase, right? Now, we could delve into the whole psychology of history and oppression, and we won't, because we're probably going to have a lot of British listeners to this, and they probably wouldn't come out, the British Empire wouldn't come out too good in that respect, right? So we'll not get into that. But there is definitely don't talk yourself up. And for some reasons it can be, so that you don't have too far to fall if you do fall. Whereas my experience, and you can tell me otherwise, of America, it's very much, you got to go talk yourself up. If you're the best, say you're the best. Is that true?
Yeah. I think more than like, if you're the best, say you're the best, there's definitely going to be like a don't get an ego because you're going to get complacent, but there's going to be a strong push of like, don't shy away from pushing the best. Like there are no stations. And, this very much comes from the American dream, build yourself up, like pull yourself up from your bootstraps. Like there's obviously class structures that play out in America, but there is also this idea that because you can come from nothing to be the most powerful, the most rich, the most famous, whatever, that, even if you're kind of a shit team, the idea of being like, hey, we're going to go beat them. Or, hey, our plan is like, we want to win the league this year, or we want to, like, we're going to come for these other teams. Like, that's much more accepted. That was the idea when I first started watching the Premier League, that like an 18th or 19th place team might play for a draw and be happy with a point, was like, what a bunch of quitters. Like, what's wrong with them? And like, there's something cool about it, because there's like a playing style thing that happens that changes. But like the idea, like I think in most American sports, probably with some exceptions, if a team came out to play for a tie, that would not be acceptable. And so I think it's not so much that we're going to come out and say, hey, we're the best, and we're just comfortable saying that we're the best. But like, if the question is, do you want to win the league? No one is ever going to be shy about saying no. Or do you think you can win the league? You're going to have people who probably have no business saying that, saying like, of course, like, why are we here if we don't think we can win? And so it's interesting to hear managers in the EPL like dodge that question, or just like whoever else I can find to put in front of us in line and say, well, they're the favorites. Like, that's always been so bizarre to me. But I do appreciate, I do wonder culturally about the Netherlands, if it's a little bit different there. I mean, Arne Slot is so comfortable with just being like, yeah, here's how good we are. And I don't think he's overinflating anything, because he's got a very grounded perspective on here's what we're good at and here's what we need to improve. But he's also going to say things like, Liverpool is one of the best places to play, or if you're at Liverpool, you have to win every week. And he just means it. And yeah, it's great. And I do think, we talked about this a lot with Klopp, and approaching everything from this place of being the underdog and fighting uphill, and how important that was at a time when we were the underdog, to have someone who really embodied that. And I think now having someone who sees us as needing to be at the pinnacle, and has the demands of what does it take to be at the top, and expects we win every game, and expects we only have you here. I mean, he made that comment like, if you're not at the level of Mo Salah, you're basically useless to us. Which right now means everyone except for Mo Salah is useless to you, by the way. But like, that kind of statement is a total shakeout.
It really is. And I think you're right. Even if you look at his comments after the Aston Villa draw, the beating City 2-0, like, I sat there watching it going, this is a masterclass from Liverpool in controlling space, in controlling a game where they don't have the ball. And then Arne comes out and is like, I'm really disappointed with the first half in the fact that we didn't control the ball. But the second half, we were much better, And I was like, wow, that's so interesting, because it looked like that was the game plan, but it clearly wasn't. So he's able to come out and say, I'm disappointed at beating Man City 2-0 away from home. But he's able to break it down and go, well, actually, no, I'm not disappointed at that. I'm disappointed in elements of it, and because I expect better from us. So he had an expectation that we would go to City and we would control the ball. How many teams do that?
Right. And I think, like, good, and that's being willing to expect at that level is not enough to get you there on its own, but it is a prerequisite.
Mm-hmm.
And like, okay, yeah, sometimes you can have a surprise team where it's just sort of like, hey, like, how long can we do this? Let's see. Like, we've got nothing to lose. But there's just a reality. That's not us. Like, we do have something to lose. So you have to be incredibly demanding. And with that demand is sort of this expectation of, this is the level that we should be at. And we should be winning every game. And I do think there's a real benefit to making that clear. And not necessarily accepting moral victories. And I think there's a really nice balance of process focus still. Clearly he's looking at specifics. He's evaluating based on things he's seeing on the field. But also, winning is probably 55%. of what he's interested in. Winning is the goal regardless. And I think that's always true. Like, obviously you want to have a good process focus, but if you had a really great process and then you lost every game, one, it means your process isn't actually any good. But no one would be happy with that.
Yeah.
And so I love his commitment to winning and just how demanding he's willing to be, and not in this like super aggressive over the top way, but almost just as if it's as obvious as the sky being blue. Is just like, yeah, we should win every game. Next question.
Yeah. And does that feed in to the squad? Like, how would you think he might be getting that across? Is that just, would it be overt where he's saying, look, we're Liverpool FC, you're Virgil van Dijk, you're Mo Salah, you should be winning every single match? Or would you suspect it's more of a covert thing where it's, we all strive to be where we deserve to be, and we'll get there as long as we put the effort in for where we deserve based on our effort?
I would say that it's very hard to know for sure, but based on his interviews, I would almost guarantee you that it's overt. Okay. He's just not shy about saying we need to be winning and you need to be performing at this level. And, I think obviously recognizing winning duels, that's something he brings up. Being in control, controlling the game, finishing, whatever. It's like these different things clearly go into that, and that becomes the focus. But yeah, like he's not shy about saying this is the expectation, and this is where we should be, and this is how we should do it. And yeah, so I would be surprised if he's hiding it. I would be surprised if he thinks there's something to hide. And that's kind of even where I asked you about this question about, in Ireland or in like, whatever you would know about sort of the culture of England, how similar it is. Like, is it saying that you're really good? Is that sort of frowned upon? Because he's not concerned about it. No, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I suppose if we look at his comments about Darwin recently, in the media, I could never see Klopp doing that.
No.
And I'd love to know what conversations he had with Darwin afterwards, after having that. Because he didn't bring him on at the weekend, but he brought him on last night, and Darwin had the bit between his teeth last night, I thought, in terms of his desire and his effort. Because, whatever about, like, Slot hasn't criticised his ability. What he criticised was his effort levels, which I could imagine must be, it was the thing that Darwin has been probably clinging on to, is that, okay, I'm not scoring goals, but I'm working my ass off when I'm on the pitch.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Like, my instinct or my impulse, like, whenever I hear a manager criticize a player to the media, especially in that case where it sounded like he hadn't actually talked with Darwin yet, would be that I'm not really a huge fan. If I were a player, I think that would make me pretty frustrated. Mm-hmm. Would that frustration then motivate me and actually push me, and it becomes a bit of a mind game? Yeah, possible. Like, I'm not a huge fan of mind games, though. In this case, I also think what was said was pretty straightforward and clear cut. And then I also think there's just this reality of like, okay, like you're a professional. This is what I expect. And so being able to say, I'm not worried about his miss. I'm worried that after that miss, like, the air came out of the tires. And I think that's a pretty clear message. Saying that in the media makes it serious in a different way, and sort of like makes you stand up and take notice in a different way.
The Reds, it's Jack here, and that was a clip from one of Anfield Index's audio podcasts. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you do like, share and subscribe to keep up to date on all things LFC. We record around 100 audio podcasts every month, with our shows featuring match-going fans, top journalists, professional analysts and even Liverpool legends along the way, with the Great Dane himself, Jan Molby, joining us every single week. If you want to listen to all our podcasts for free, head over to anfieldindex.com/podcasts. Our audio shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Anfield Index. Or if you prefer to listen to all our podcasts in full and without any ads, why not head over to AI Pro today to check it out now at AnfieldIndexPro.com. If you want to get involved in the great growing community of Liverpool fans, check out the Anfield Index Discord. The link is in the description. Do get involved with that from Reds around every corner of the globe. For now, Reds, hope you enjoyed this video.